we've reached day 9 of the Let It Go challenge, and I thought it was a good idea to go over 10 steps or 10 ways to make sure that we've moved on and we can get ready for our future. So, to get ready for day 10, I just kind of spent some time researching last night, taking ideas from different websites, and I gathered up the 10 most important things that we can do to make sure that we're moving on and letting go of stuff. So let's see. The first thing that I have here says change your perception. And I think that's really good. That's basically where we started. I guess these 10 things are going to they're kind of checkpoints over what we've done this whole journey since the beginning of the 10-day countdown of January. So the first thing we can do to make sure we've let something go is change our perception, which I agree with. It's all in the perception. If you don't see it differently, you won't change differently. Number 2, metaphorically throw it away. I'm a huge metaphor person. I see symbolism and metaphors in almost everything, and I think looking at something metaphorically, it can honestly change the way that you're looking at it. Sometimes if you place a metaphor on something, it can put it into perspective in a way that we didn't see before. So I guess it's kind of a loophole of our perception to kind of metaphorically relate to something. So metaphorically throw that situation away that you're letting go of, or that person that's just negative and not on your level anymore, or that relationship that you've been running back to for months and you just had enough. So metaphorically throw these things away that we're letting go of. For me, I would like to metaphorically throw away the fact that I'm so quick to stress out. I want to metaphorically throw away my anxiety and find different ways to deal with that instead of be such an anxious person all the time. So number 3, focus all your energy on something that you can control, because we've already went over this within the first few days that we started this, and we very quickly learned that the reason why we can't let things go is because we attach ourselves to things that we can't control. But the thing is, if we can't control a situation or we don't have control over it, then we shouldn't be focusing our energy on it anyway. We shouldn't be wasting our energy like that, because things that are out of our control are also out of our hands. And I think I know that I've been a person like that. I don't like not being able to understand or not necessarily control a situation, but I guess I get really anxious and scared almost when I can't control a situation, because it just feels controlless, I guess. But during situations where you had tried everything that you can and it's just everything's out of your control and it's more or less the waiting game now, there's no sense in getting worked up or wasting our energy on these things. So let's focus on things that we can control. And what can we control? Ourselves. We can control our emotions to a certain extent. Like they always say, you can't control other people, but you can control how you respond to other people. So I guess we can control ourselves, the way that we react and respond to situations and people, because that's how we preserve our energy for ourselves and for things that are actually worth our time, not the things that we can't control or that are negatively impacting us. So number 4, express your feelings through a creative outlet. I really liked this one because that's kind of what I'm doing. I think the Let It Go challenge and this whole project that I'm doing online, that's my expressive way. That's how I'm expressing Let It Go. This all started with a feeling and an idea, and it's helped me a lot by talking and speaking out to people who feel and think the same way as me. And this is a huge creative outlet, and it has helped me so much. And I can't believe it's almost over. But there's tons of ways to express ourselves creatively. We can write, we can paint. Some people like to take pictures and photographs, be a photographer. Other people just like to walk in nature. All of that is creative because it has nothing to do with logic or reasoning. To be creative is to sing and maybe write music, write a poem, anything like that. We're all creative in different ways. So whatever way that you feel creative, and actually cooking, things like that, I guess it can be logical for some of us. Anything that you feel is creative, express your feelings through that instead of getting so caught up in emotions and maybe the facts about everything. We don't have to get too overwhelmed with that, especially if it's out of our control. So I think number 4 is important, to express yourself in a creative way rather than a way of anger or aggression. I guess that's what I was trying to say. So for number 5, make a list of all your accomplishments, even the small things. And I really like that. I'm a really list person. I'm someone who lists everything out in my phone, on paper. I just really like to see lists. They really help me. And I don't think that we give ourselves enough credit for the things that we do. Getting up and trying is something we all can put on our list every day, because it's not easy. You know, life gets all tiring and negative, and all of our energy gets taken away, especially those of us who are working a lot and just have kids, and there's so many stress factors, and we're all stressing out about different things. So it's very important for us to take time out of our day and in our lives at some point. Write out all the things that you've accomplished, even things way back in your past, or things that you accomplished yesterday. Anything that you feel you haven't acknowledged for yourself or told yourself you were proud of. Maybe if we focused on that, like, wow, a couple years ago I did get through that nasty thing, and I'm proud of myself, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be where I am today. We have to acknowledge these things about ourselves so that we can empower ourselves and build ourselves up and focus on our accomplishments, not our failures. We can learn from our failures, but we don't want to broadcast them or attach it to them in a way where we can't let them go and feel like all we are is our failures and losses, because that's just not true. We accomplish things too. We fail, we accomplish things, we rise, we fall. It's all a balance. We definitely have to pay attention to both elements there. So, number 6, identify what the experience taught you. And I'm huge on this one, because you can learn something from everything. A bad relationship, an argument, getting fired, getting a new job. Any experience can teach you something if you're willing to learn. So that's another way that it can help us let go of things and move on, is if we always just take the position of a learning attribute. If we always put ourselves in an area where, well, now I know this, or bet you I won't do that again. That's signs that you're learning something. Keep letting somebody hurt you, or let somebody mistreat you, talk about you in a bad way, something like that. No, you can't change if a person wants to behave that way, but you can change who you allow to keep doing that to you. People give you signs. Situations will give you signs if it's bad for you, or if it's time for it to exit out of your life. You just won't be able to identify with that thing anymore. You and that person, or that drug, or that eating habit, or those insecurities you have for yourself, it'll feel like you guys can't dance together anymore. You guys are just, like, us as people are rising and getting smarter and awakening ourselves. So as we do that, we're shedding all this weight that we had, all these insecurities, all these negative people. That job sucks, I don't want to work there anymore. A lot of people you're going to see in life, and maybe someone even watching this video, every day you're just realizing more and more what you want and what you don't want. We're all rising up like that. It's a mindset that we're all tapping into, and it's time. It's just time it's a new beginning. The energy's everywhere, in the stars and astrology, biblically, no matter where you're looking. It's a time for new beginnings, and in order for something to begin, something has to end. So I think by February, the first week, we're going to be seeing a lot of endings and beginnings, and that's just my thought, my feeling. It's something I've been feeling for a long time. But let's see what number 7 can help us with, so that we can reach those things. Remember both the good and bad. And this is critical, because oftentimes when we're missing somebody or something or any situation like that, we remember all the good, like, oh, I remember that memory, that was so good, and then we get sad because we're only remembering the good. But obviously you've quit that thing, left that thing alone, left that person, quit that job, aren't friends with that person anymore, because there was negative. So also remind yourself of, oh yeah, that was really good, but remember when they did that? Oh, that situation was horrible. Yeah, I did have a lot of friends at that job, but man, I worked a lot of hours. So make sure you're looking at both the good and bad of the situation you're letting go of. So that way you're not getting so caught up in thinking that you lost a bunch, because there's losses and there's gains. When you're letting go of something bad, you're gaining. And when you remember the good that you're letting go of course look at the good. Of course remember the good. That's how we feel like we didn't waste our time, or feel like question why we even did that thing, because of course there was once upon a time good about that thing. But just remember there was also bad. That way you don't question the fact why you're moving on in the first place. We're letting go of these bad things. And bad things sometimes can be good. In fact, most bad things are, but or at least we feel like they are, if you know what I mean. But anyway, number 8 says reward and acknowledge your accomplishments. And this goes with number 5. Maybe after we write our accomplishments out, you can be like, you know what? I just wrote 5 things about myself that I accomplished over the last year. I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to go hang out with this friend, or I'm just going to buy myself this, or whatever you feel like will reward yourself. Even if it's just chilling out and not doing anything, because some people I know are just go, go, go. And if you have one wish, it would just be for things to stay still for 5 minutes. I know how you guys feel. So maybe reward yourself by being still and silent. I wish it was warmer outside, because what I was just thinking of is just sitting by a tree, like maybe a park, seeing the water flow by. That's a little hard to do in the winter, but there's still things that we can do. Even if it's just being kinder to yourself. Sometimes we're really rough and hard on ourselves because we accidentally want to match the energy that the world is treating us with. So maybe your boss is mean to you, and your kids are mean to you, and your spouse is mean to you. So you just say, hell, I guess I'm mean to me too. There must be a reason why everybody else is being mean to me. So I'm going to be mean to me too. But that's terrible. I think I know that because I do that. And it's like speaking from experience. But be careful not to do that. If the whole world's against you, we definitely don't want to turn against ourselves. And that's what this whole thing is about. We got us. We have ourselves. So sometimes you got to be that. Let's see. So yes, reward and acknowledge your accomplishments. Huge. Because we all accomplish things, and we all deserve to be proud of what we've overcame. Not an easy thing to do all the time. Number 9. Ooh, this is my favorite one. Replace emotional thoughts with facts. See, I like this one, and I never heard something like that before. But I'm a very emotional person, and yeah, that has its positives and its pros and everything, but obviously it definitely has its bad too, right? Thinking about the good and the bad. So, plus side to being emotional, I'm very expressive, I'm very real. People know how I feel most of the time because I'm good at communicating that. But some of the down parts about it being emotional is, and I'm a water sign, so it can get even worse, is I can get carried away sometimes with how I feel. Since I'm such a deep person, if I'm sad, I'm embodying the emotion of sadness. And I can write poems about being sad, and I can write music and songs about being sad. And it's just, I have this thing where I just feel everything completely, and it's not necessarily all bad, but some of the bad to that is I get lost in that emotional sea that I forget the facts. I forget, hey, so what? Yeah, fact, you're sad. Also fact, you won't be forever. You'll be okay tomorrow or in a couple hours. There's always something we can do with a situation, So I loved that one. Replace emotional thoughts with facts. So when you're getting emotional and you're angry or sad, because it doesn't always have to be sad, anxious, any emotion, guilty, just remember, yes, I am feeling this. I am feeling this way right now, but I won't always have to. I didn't feel this way a year ago, so I definitely won't feel this way forever. That speaks to me directly. Because as an emotional person, sometimes I can get carried away and just be an emotional person. It's not always a good thing if you get caught up in it. And now, I'm going to keep this in mind. When I'm finding myself in these emotional periods, I'm going to help myself by remembering facts. I guess in this case, the facts will set you free. You have to pull yourself back down to reality sometimes and not get carried away. So that was number 9. And number 10, metaphorically release it and just say goodbye to it. And I think that is kind of what can set us up, all of these things. And by the time we reach number 10, that's how you let something go. That's, the closest to it. It's how you get ready to let something go. And these are things that I found online. Some of them were my opinion, and I just kind of checked online to see what other people thought too. There's tons of let it go things online. I was really surprised to see that. But I thought that was really beneficial for us today to just have these 10 reasons and ways and steps to go through just to kind of check with ourselves and put this whole entire journey into perspective. So, I also, before this video ends, guys, I really wanted to talk about forgiveness today. I definitely didn't want to forget that. Forgiveness is a huge part, one perhaps that we should have talked about in the very beginning of this. I can't believe it hasn't came up, and if it did, I don't think so. But forgiveness is possibly the most important aspect to this whole entire thing, because if you don't forgive the situation or the person or yourself, then we are always going to hold on to it. I think that's the secret, or one of them, or kind of how we could understand this. If you find yourself not being able to let a person go or let a situation go, especially if you're angry about it or still upset about it, it's definitely because you haven't forgiven yourself. And I actually wrote something about forgiveness yesterday. And I said, what does forgiveness mean to you? So forgiveness to me is a huge part of letting go and moving on. In order to get over something, you have to forgive the fact that it even happened. And sometimes we have to forgive ourselves. That can be the hardest of all. But this is perhaps the most important part, because forgiveness is the only proof we have when it comes to letting go. And I think that's very true. When you've forgiven a situation or a person or yourself for doing that one day or doing that all those years, that's when you can truly start over and let go. But until you forgive yourself, because that's a very humble thing to do, to forgive yourself that this happened, or to forgive this person for hurting you all those years. I just think if we're not forgiving situations, then we're still giving life to them. And why is that a problem? Well, it's not always. But if we're giving life to situations that we're supposed to let go, let's face it, there's timing in the universe. And I think sometimes the universe is giving us signs. God is giving us signs and signs that we're not supposed to be with this person right now. And it's hard to let people go, especially if you love them and you don't want to give up on them, and things that we've talked about on the days before this. But if you can feel it, and if your intuition and your gut feeling is telling you that you need to quit doing this drug or quit eating this way, then it's time. I mean, we can be talking about something as simple as a habit that you're quitting, that you feel is dangerous for yourself, all the way up to letting go that this person died, or letting go of that this person broke your heart and you no longer speak. It is sad. These things that we go through are very sad, but remember, when you're feeling emotional like this, yes, feel it. As a Pisces, I'm going to tell you, feel your emotions. If you don't, it's kind of like you just put them in a bottle, stuff them under the rug metaphorically, but you will find the mess again in the next relationship you try to have, or if you don't do it genuinely, it's going to haunt you and haunt you and haunt you. And we all are at different levels. We're all struggling with different things, and you never know how hard it is for someone to let go. You never know what that person is feeling or thinking, but you do. As a person who is letting go of these things, you can speak to your own self. And I think it's really about self-encouragement. Definitely. We definitely have to encourage ourselves. It's not so much about hearing it from someone else, and that's why I try to be careful, because I don't know how it is to be you, and I guess I say that because I say that to people. I've said that a lot in my life. Like, you don't know me. You're not me all the time. And I think it is a part of forgiving the people who have hurt us and don't know that, or maybe sometimes the people the situations and people who are doing these things might not even be on purpose. But I do think forgiveness is a huge part of letting something go. Forgiving yourself for even doing it. Forgiving the situation for even happening. Forgiving that person for, whatever that they did to you. Heartbreak, cheating. I mean, there's countless situations, and it's really infinite here, guys. But I do know that we all are letting things go around this time. And as long as we can get to a point where we find forgiveness, true forgiveness, where you don't want to get revenge anymore, you're not waking up angry about the same situation, we're all going to reach a point where we can just forgive. And it's not easy. I don't mean to record this 25 minute video and just talk about with my sweet little voice that about forgiveness, because I do know that it's not easy to forgive, especially if we're talking about some real messed up stuff. People get dark, and I mean, who knows, I might have hurt somebody and I might need to be forgiven. You know, maybe we need to apologize to a few people. And I mean, honestly, at this point in time in the world, there's so much turning on each other. There's so much negative hate, you know, and it's just getting worse and worse. And I think if we all could just humble ourselves and stop fighting and being negative and spreading the hate, arguing over these silly things online and in person, I mean, is it worth it? Is arguing with that person worth it? Because let me tell you, I know firsthand that tomorrow is not promised for moms, for brothers, for uncles. So we do need to keep that in mind, guys, when we're going through these battles of ourselves. We're all getting hurt in different ways. We're all getting changed and worked on in different ways. And we're all put on the same planet for a reason, you know. At the end of the day, we definitely are in the same galaxy, which is no mistake. And I just think it's more about coming together as human beings, you know, instead of letting race and gender and social status and money, you know, what happened to just being the same as each other? Because at the end of the day, we all are human and we all have that similarity going on. So we should be able to identify with each other's struggles more than any other species on the planet. And I think we're going to get there, guys. It's all a process. This is all happening for a reason. Movements are on the way. Energy from a different world is on the way. And we'll feel that later on this year. It's going to be a good year. But not to get all crazy with it or anything. I guess that has really moved me. But bottom line, guys, forgiveness. Definitely something I wanted to talk about before I ended this video. Because tomorrow, last day of January. So if you think about it, you know, like the first month of 2017 is we spent it. So if this was a book, if January 2017 was a book, what would we have read? What did we learn this month? And what are we letting go of so that we can move on in February? And I think we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow when it is, and you know, it's so weird. Around these times, like last days of months, I feel weird. I always feel like really tired when the months are ending. I mean, and I've researched stuff like that. There's energy. Energy happens when it's like an energy wave or a shift going on, because there's a whole new month awaiting. After tomorrow, we're going to enter a whole new energy, a whole new month full of new journeys and pain and lessons and stress. And so, you know, we will, I guess, deal with, well, cross that bridge when we come to it. But alright, guys, so tomorrow on our last day of January tomorrow, we're going to be talking about this whole process, what we let go of, can we truly let things go, talking about the last 10 days of January and how that went. So, alright, tomorrow's the last day. And that is it for day 9, I believe. Just wanted to touch on forgiveness and go over those 10 steps that we can look back on and remember, okay? And other than that, hope everybody had a pretty good day. I'm not sure. It's kind of late. I don't know. But we always have tomorrow, guys. All right. I will see you guys then.